Hey guys, how we doing? So we're back in another video from Mother's Basement, and I'm really intrigued by this. This is why you need to watch Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now, for me, this is one of my recommendations. You know, for like if people want to get into anime, I find the one to show them, for me personally, and it's worked every time, is show them Death Note, and then show them Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and then they're hooked. That's how I do it. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is amazing. It's so good, and even now, the animation is still top-notch quality, and it's the storytelling and everything's just it's awesome. So let's see what Mother's Basement has to say on this. Why you need to watch Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Look at it.
The title of this video alone probably has some of you raising your eyebrows. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood has reigned for years as the top-rated anime of all time on MAL. It's seen by many as a staple of the Western otaku diet and as one of the greatest anime of the modern era.
It's so good.
But Brotherhood's not so modern anymore. Last month, the series hit its 10-year anniversary, meaning it's as old now as Digimon Adventure was when it first came out. And given how many new fans have gotten into anime in the decades since, it only makes sense that many of them, even hardcore otaku who've been watching anime since they were kids, just haven't gotten around to it. And while it's tempting to shake our withered old fists at these whippersnappers who have no idea what good anime even is,
dare they not watch the show?
That's not true, and that kind of gatekeeping snobbery will do very little to convince them to actually watch it.
Yeah,
so in light of the discussion we've been having recently about old anime and how the community's changed over the years, I think it's high time I made a spoiler-light case for this classic show as the second entry after Initial D in a new series I'm calling Anime Essentials. And while that title will be a little hyperbolic for most of the shows I talk about in this series, there are few that fit it better than this one. If you enjoy watching anime of any kind, even if fantasy isn't your bag and shonen action bores you to tears, I all but guarantee that you'll find something to love about Fullmetal Alchemist
Years emotional parts, my god.
As the subtitle suggests, the series follows two young brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric, who are prodigious students of alchemy, a miraculous science that allows matter to be broken down to its base molecular components and reconstructed into another shape of equal mass. Alchemy can be used to do many things, but it cannot create life. And as the Elric brothers discover when they try to resurrect their dead mother, the consequences for attempting to do so are dire.
They are.
The blowback from their failed transmutation destroys Ed's left leg and right arm, which have to be replaced with armored prosthetics called automail. But he gets off easy compared to Al, who's left as a disembodied soul bound to a suit of armor. In exchange for what they've lost, Ed gains the ability to perform transmutations with a clap of his hands instead of having to draw an alchemic circle, which he uses to earn a spot in the military as a state alchemist. In doing so, he turns himself into a living weapon for the vaguely fascist government, but in exchange, he and his brother gain access to military resources, which they can use to pursue the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary object that lets alchemists transmute without restriction, and that the brothers hope is the key to getting their original bodies back. The brothers' pursuit of that goal will see them travel far and wide across the nation of Amestris, pitting them against terrorists, serial killers, and actual literal monsters.
Yeah, man, it's
and more secrets than just those of the stone lay along their path. But their determination is ironclad, full metal, if you will, and they won't stop until they achieve their goal.
No, they will
even if they have to turn their entire badass steampunk world on its head to do it. That's about all I can say without spoiling things. One of the major themes of the anime is that everything in its world, no matter how small and isolated it may seem, is connected to everything else, and that's reflected brilliantly in its narrative structure. Brotherhood's narrative is a tightly woven web of secrets, conspiracies, and twists
something always going on in the background, man.
Unravel, and that I really don't want to spoil. Some twists you'll see coming with ease. Others will catch you completely off guard, but if you've managed to make it this long as an anime fan without having them ruined for you, it's worth experiencing them all blind. Speaking as a writer, I sit in awe of what mangaka Hiromu Arakawa accomplished here. It's thrilling, thought-provoking, and moving all at at once.
Yeah,
and it goes by at a breakneck pace, moving from one stunning revelation to the next without stumbling or slowing down.
Yeah, it doesn't get in the way of any kind of story.
There is one caveat to that statement. The first 13 episodes do feel a bit clumsy and rushed relative to the rest of the show, but there's a good reason for that. This was Bones' second go at adapting the FMA manga. Their first effort came out in 2003, 2 years into the manga's run, and consisted of 37 filler episodes interspersed with 14 semi-faithful adaptations of the manga chapters.
I've not watched the original.
Out when it started airing, about a fifth of the total story. That anime deserves its own video, as the two series mostly stand apart from each other as their own distinctive stories, but because it exists, Bones decided to sort of glaze over those first few arcs to get to the new stuff. The resulting episodes are still good, entertaining television, better than most other shonen action joints, but they don't quite represent the incredible heights of storytelling that the series reaches and somehow sustains as it goes on. This isn't really a point against FMA Brotherhood, just something to keep in mind if you start watching and don't immediately see what all the hype is about.
Yeah.
Brotherhood rightly gets a lot of praise for its tight, clever plot, but that's far from the only thing the series has going for it. That narrative is built on a bedrock of interesting and poignant ideas about science, religion, war, nationalism, and the very nature of truth itself. If you're so inclined, you can spend days digging down to uncover the philosophical roots of the show's story and world, as some other great YouTubers have already done, Link in the Doobly-Doo. But if you don't feel like engaging with those ideas, you'll have no trouble simply enjoying the ride. All of the concepts that the show juggles are presented in a very accessible manner, and they remain coherent because it ties them to one simple and fundamental core message: that the world is not purely transactional, and that our connection to and mutual support of one another makes it possible for us to achieve things far beyond the scope of conventional knowledge. In keeping with that theme, the show's script also contains a wealth of phenomenal character writing. As you'd expect,
the characters are so good.
Banter between Ed and Al forms the series' backbone. Ed's snarky attitude and short temper contrast nicely with Al's sweet, earnest demeanor. They bicker, as siblings often do, but they also support each other unerringly, and watching them both grow up without ever losing their faith in each other is profoundly heartwarming. They cross paths with a wide variety of colorful characters throughout their journey. Even the bit players from minor side plots feel three-dimensional and have a way of sticking in your mind
Everyone
and popping back
has
up when you least expect
screen presence.
And beyond all the great extras, the recurring characters rank among my favorites in anime.
Is
the
my
brother's
favorite.
Cute childhood friend / tough-as-nails automail mechanic, Winry Rockbell, is a great foil to both the hard-headed Ed and the soft-spoken Al. She often serves to remind them of the things that really matter in life and help them connect with other people. You can tell she gets her stern demeanor from her pint-sized grandmother, Panako, while Ed's abrasive attitude mirrors that of his and Al's no-nonsense alchemy teacher, Izumi Curtis, whose relationship with her doting husband is #goals. In spite of losing their mother, the boys build themselves a strong found family before the series even begins, and it only grows as their journey continues. This show's cast is massive and packed with lovable personalities well beyond the scope of what I can cover today, though the Elrics do have a few key allies in the military that you should know about before we move on. Most prominent are the gruff but lovable Roy Mustang, his sharp-witted partner and series best girl Riza Hawkeye, best dad Maze Hughes, and your favorite character, Major General Alex Louis Armstrong. These soldiers have vibrant personalities underscored by a certain serious grimness, grimmer for some than others, as though they're all smiling or aggressively flexing through some kind of pain. And as the series goes on, it becomes clear why. They've all seen some shit.
They have.
Brotherhood has an overall cheery demeanor, but it's not afraid to shine a light on the darker side of humanity and the horrors of war, or to hurt the characters it's so good at making you care for. Even if you've seen the obvious examples of that, which I won't spoil here if you haven't, there's a lot of moments in the show that will still catch you off guard. As unambiguously kick-ass and hype as the series can be, you'd be surprised at just how often it'll have you pretending that you're not crying. Brotherhood also has some of the absolute best villains in anime, period, which is all the more impressive considering the limitations that Hiromu Arakawa set for herself in writing them. The series' primary antagonists are a group of 7 inhuman monsters called the Homunculi, each of whom represents a pure distillation of one of the 7 vices that rule the human heart: gluttony, lust, lust, envy, greed, that whole bit. Now, you'd think that characters whose entire mindset is defined by a single all-encompassing desire or emotion would be fairly one-note, but Arakawa manages to make these villains feel complex and interesting by really digging into how these emotions motivate us. Gluttony, for instance, isn't inherently evil or cruel, just endlessly self-indulgent. Arakawa portrays him as a dim, homicidal Winnie the Pooh who bumbles his way through life thinking of nothing but his next meal and the things that he's been ordered to do before he can eat it. Often that meal is more likely to be a person than money, but there's rarely malice behind his actions and cannibalism, even if he does throw the occasional petulant temper tantrum. Lust is a great deal more malicious and cunning, though no less self-indulgent. This being a PG-13 anime, they obviously can't go all the way in exploring her particular vice, but they get around that by simply having her take an immense amount of pleasure in every sick and twisted thing she does.
Yeah, she does, man.
Envy's the meanest of the bunch, and also just the worst in general. True to his name, he has literally no positive qualities whatsoever, as it's his fate to envy them in others. He's petty, irritable, impatient, socially inept, and above all else, phenomenally stupid, but he's also pathologically incapable of acknowledging his own faults, which makes it a ton of fun to see him bounce off the rest of the cast and constantly get owned at every turn. In contrast, especially with envy, it's only natural that greed, who wants everything for himself, would drift away from the other homunculi.
Of course, it makes sense, doesn't it? To look out for number one.
It's equally natural that he'd be a lot nicer than all of them. As he's naturally inclined to want everything that he lays eyes on, it only makes sense that he's naturally inclined to like everything as well, including all of the people he meets. So while he'll go to extreme lengths to achieve his ends, he's also genuinely, unambiguously friendly toward everyone who doesn't stand in his way. The remaining 3 sins and other villains beyond them are similarly complex and compelling, but I'll leave you to discover them for yourself.
It is quite spoilery.
Now, the fights against these villains are really something else.
Yeah, man.
After all, this is a Studio Bones joint, one of the few anime studio names that actually means something, and one of fewer that means something good, and moreover, Brotherhood is arguably the show that cemented their reputation for incredible action scenes thanks to a star-studded staff role. The show's animation credits are a who's who of industry legends, from One Punch Man director Shingo Natsume to the man behind like half the best shots in My Hero Academia, Yutaka Nakamura. Click any random name on the show's staff list and you'll find yourself bombarded with a page full of standout shows.
That's awesome.
These varied and impressive talents were used to their fullest under the brilliant guidance of chief animation director Yoshimichi Kameda, who you might also know as the animation director of Mob Psycho 100 Season 2.
Class?
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, FMA is one of the most gorgeous animated series in existence. Every action scene pops off the screen with a level of polish and energy that most series would be lucky to achieve in a single shot. The impossible magic of transmutations is rendered foldable thanks to meticulous attention to detail that ensures each one adheres to the laws of equivalent exchange, while the characters fighting around those crazy transforming weapons and environments move with real weight and purpose. In every battle, you get a sense of each character's unique fighting styles and way of thinking. Combatants make clever use of their surroundings and exploit each other's foibles to gain the upper hand, and when the alchemists, especially the Elric brothers and Major Armstrong, are able to fight with their full potential, the show becomes an animator's playground. Fights in this show can be elegant and awe-inspiring or dirty and brutal, but at all times they are immensely fun. The show's final run of episodes in particular presents a cavalcade of non-stop action scenes, each somehow more impressive than the last, culminating in a glorious final brawl that pushes the series' cast and concepts to their absolute limits. Without showing or describing any spoiler shots, I'm sure that a lot of this sounds like hyperbole, but I promise you it's not.
It's amazing.
The show delivers one of the best, most legendary fights in all of anime in episode 19, and it just keeps getting better in the 45 after that. Not every scene is that visually impressive, mind you. In keeping with its story, the show's style sticks very close to the original manga, with many shots being one-to-one translation of the manga panels, especially early in the series. These manga-style shots, by their nature, tend to be kinda static, which can lead to some dialogue scenes feeling stiff and unnatural. The style works for comedic moments, but it undercuts some of the drama, especially especially, again, in those early episodes. Still, that's a minor issue overall. The show delivers great animation where it needs to, even outside of its fight scenes, and other aspects of the production more than make up for its rare shortcomings. The voice acting is phenomenal in English and Japanese.
The English dub is decent.
Composed by Akira
It's
Senju
decent.
is packed end to end with powerful and memorable compositions, and sound design genius Masafumi Mima, who you might remember from the initial D video, ensures that everything from subtle character movements to physics-defying transmutations sounds believable. It's easiest for me to gush about the animation, but the work done in every one of these fields deserves its own hour-long video essay. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is more than just a great story well told and a Sakuga smorgasbord. It's a showcase of immense artistic talent, leaders and legends in every field of anime production working in concert at the top of their game for a straight run of 64 episodes. 63 if you don't count the recap, though I think you should because it's still
check out the OVAs as well. I got them with my
phenomenal
DVD
animation
collection
and direction into its original segments. This show shouldn't exist, not in the form that it does anyway. When you look at how it was made at the beyond ambitious schedule that saw over a year of constant production ending less than a month after the manga they were adapting was slated to finish, it seems inconceivable that they could make it to the end zone without fumbling at least once. But aside from a slightly rushed first arc, the team working on it just hit home run after home run, even though, as I just established, they were playing football. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is a thing of beauty, and the closer you look at it, no matter what angle you're looking at it from, be it analyzing the themes and structure of the story, breaking down the characters, or diving into its production values, the more beautiful it reveals itself to be. So when I say you need to watch this anime,
you do.
Obviously that's hyperbole. Only slightly, though.
Do.
FMA Brotherhood is not for everyone, but only insofar as nothing really is. Few anime offer such polished presentation, and fewer still back it up with such a rich, deep, and accessible narrative. If you're interested enough in anime to have stumbled on this video and you haven't seen it yet for whatever reason, you owe it to yourself to give Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood a shot as soon as you have time for it. For all the words I've spent on it today, I could still go on for hours finding new things to praise in FMA Brotherhood. Like, I love how every alchemist's attacks represent their own gaudy sense of style, from Armstrong's sculptures of his own rippling muscles to the edgy teenage goth sensibilities of Ed's creations. And it's awesome to see a big-budget mainstream anime deal seriously with the physical and emotional challenges of being or becoming disabled. Also, I really have to stop myself before this gets too long. If you're interested enough in anime to have stumbled on this video and you haven't seen it yet, you owe it to yourself and nobody else to give Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood a shot. Not every classic anime fully lives up to the hype, especially when the hype is this high, but Brotherhood really does.
It does.
I promise
it really does.
It is worth making the time to see it. If you'd like to watch it right now, you can click the link in the doobly-doo to catch the whole series dubbed and subbed on this video's sponsor, Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll, if you somehow don't know already, is an anime streaming platform where you can watch hundreds of great shows stretching back through the decades, as well as new series broadcast with English subtitles right as they air in Japan. From just this current season, they've got a ton of great shows like Attack on Titan, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Demon Slayer, Bokuben, Hitori Bochi, and Fruits Basket. And they're constantly adding new classics to their backlog as well. Just recently they picked up Kimiko Ray Orange Road, Honey and Clover, and Kaiba, among others, and they've got a treasure trove of other great shows waiting for you to explore if you're so inclined. And no matter how you want to watch your anime, be it on your favorite game console, your phone, your smart TV, or your computer, Crunchyroll has you covered. You can head to crunchyroll.com/basement to get a 14-day free trial today, which is plenty of time to binge your way through Brotherhood and see for yourself why they're the industry leader in anime streaming. Before you click that link, let me know in the comments below what other classic anime you'd like to see me shine a spotlight on, and which of the many great characters in FMA Brotherhood is your favorite. And while you're down there, you see the buttons, you know what to do. I'm Jeff Thu, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.
Boss. Very valid points. It is amazing. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is just incredible, man. Like I think I bought a magazine which had a DVD with it that had the first 2 episodes. You had to preview it in the same time that the first DVD came out. So I bought it because the first 2 episodes I was like, boom, this is incredible. And then I was buying it as the DVDs were coming out. I wasn't watching it online or anything. I was literally waiting like 3 months at a time to watch 13 more episodes, and it was so worth it. Like, it was boss. As soon as it come through the post, I'd be like, boom, put that in the computer, watch all the episodes. That was my experience with it. But yeah, everything about it is incredible. The characters are amazing, the music's amazing, the story's amazing, the villains are incredible, the twists. If you've not seen it, you really need to. Jeff's right on that one. It is incredible. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should want to discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys. It's all you guys. Next time. Bye.